So I just saw Madam Web, and it wasn't great, honestly. It actually kind of fucking sucked. It was better than Morbius, which is not a huge jump in quality, but, you know, you gotta take the wins where you can. I want to start off with some of the positives. So I think the girls playing the Spider Women, I think the three of them in the scenes that they were together as a little trio, I bought their budding friendship. That was good. That worked. And Dakota Johnson is quite funny. Now, she's funny in scenes where the intent is for her to be funny. She has a really nice, awkward style of humor about her. And I think she should really lean into that in her future. And she's also funny in that when she is doing a more dramatic or serious scene, I just can't buy it. I don't know what it is. She was crying over the death of her character in one scene, and it felt very Nepo Baby. I'm not sure why that is, but yeah, there was something there. So I think she should stick to comedy roles because she's genuinely hilarious, intentionally and unintentionally, but more so intentionally. She's got good comedy chops, even if the writing in this movie was kind of dog water. What else was good? I think the music, the soundtrack was pretty alright, even though it was very obvious that it was just leaning on the 2003 hits to try and trick the audience into thinking that the movie was a movie, while the movie felt more like a proof of concept that a student had made. Because I think the story is actually quite interesting, and there's a lot you could do there. Having this sort of Final Destination style, she can see the future and she has to protect these three women so that they can become Spider Women. But they do fucking nothing creative with it. Everything is so flat and uninspired. There were like three scenes that I kind of enjoyed. The train scene where Madam Web first saves the girls from Ezekiel, I thought actually had some good tension to it. It was well edited, and I could pick up what the movie was trying to tell me. It was very clear, A+ for just that little moment. That moment should exist in a better movie where I'm more interested in the lives of the characters introduced. The way the three Spider-Women are introduced is pretty nothing, I guess. And Dakota Johnson's character of Cassie Webb, her introduction is kind of terrible. Her and Adam Scott talking in the car, and it's just like exposition city. We can do better than this. We can naturally have our characters explain the situation without it sounding like they've never spoken to each other or another human in their life. But no, we get this instead. The villain fucking sucked, which I'm mad about, because seeing the trailer, I was very curious as to, what's his motivations? He must have something driving him. It's power. He just wants fucking power. The flashback at the start of him and the mother where he was in the Amazon with her mum while she was studying spiders right before she died. And they reveal to us very early on that he killed her for the spider, which is kind of ridiculous because I'm sure there was other spiders there, or he could have been a bit more clever about it, but nah, just fucking bang, bang, let's fucking go. I was hoping for some more dramatic reveal as to why he didn't want the Spider-Women to become Spider-Women, a similar thing to like Spider-Verse where Spider-Man 2099 wants Miles to let his father die, but Miles is not going to let that happen. I was hoping for not the same story there, but for some stronger purpose that this guy wanted to kill these girls, but we get fucking nothing. Instead, he has this woman working for him who just has just all this technology that can do shit that computers are barely doing now, even though the film is set in 2003, and they just hand wave it as like, you're working for me and you have equipment that no one else has, so do my job. Also, they make the dumbest fucking choice to redub his voice with someone who I don't think is him, because every single line of his sounded so unnatural and fake and like it was just fed to him on the day. It sucked. I could not take his character seriously whenever he opened his mouth. Also, the way they first show his Spider-Man outfit. By the way, the Spider-Man outfit I think actually looks quite cool. Why does he have it? He doesn't need it. Whatever. First scene, you see him in it. He's just crawling on the roof in a very unthreatening manner. Like, it's just so poorly shot and just uninterestingly framed. There's just nothing really going on. The only scenes of like interesting editing are the scenes where she's having flash forwards And the scene where she gets her split body power towards the end, which I thought was actually kind of cool. Yeah, he was a mess. He was nothing. He was an idea of a character, but not an actual character. You've also got Adam Scott, who's doing whatever he can with nothing, and his sister, who is played by Emma Roberts, was not expecting her in this. She gives birth to, spoiler alert, I think it's implied that she gives birth to Peter Parker. I guess there's our Spider-Man, even though there's no real gravitas surrounding that whatsoever. It's just like, oh, we have a Spider-Man in this universe now, and this is 2003. Sydney Sweeney definitely did the best with what she was given. I actually bought her scenes. I bought her emotions. The other two girls, I feel so dumb for not knowing their names. I'm going to look it up so I can be a bit more respectful. Okay, so Celeste O'Connor and Isabella Merced, along with Sydney Sweeney, all do quite well together. I said that earlier, but Sydney Sweeney sort of elevates the writing that she's given, and she's actually acting it out, whereas every other actor in the film, it feels like they were given their lines on the day, because they just deliver shit with the most unnatural performances I could imagine. It feels very fake. I know it's a movie, so it's all fake, but it feels next level unreal. Because what they're saying as well is often insane and overly explanatory, to the point that I feel like they're talking to me and not talking to each other. It's just so very unnatural, except the three girls, when it's just them three together, it feels quite real. And it wasn't super funny. There were some jokes in the movie that genuinely got a little bit of a laugh out of me. Like I said, there was Dakota Johnson had a few funny little bits. One in particular with Emma Roberts was like actually good, and I'm like, oh, I would like more of this. Maybe if you leaned into this instead of the more dramatic stuff, because she just can't really sell the dramatic stuff. She has this flashback towards her mother, who she hates for like bringing her while she was pregnant to the Amazon. And then it's revealed that she did it so she could get the spider to bite her, so she could actually save her unborn child who was going to be born with a disease. Now, we never really see her hate her mum before this, but then there's this whole moment of her crying and being like, you did it for me, and I thank you, and you did it. And it's just overly repetitive, like they say the same thing 3 times. The same way when she meets the villain for the first time, he just keeps saying, I have the power to stop them. And Dakota Johnson will say, you have the power to stop them. Why are you going to stop them? And he's like, because I have the power to, and they're going to stop me from getting my power. And she'll be like, you can't, but because I have the power too. It's just a very uninspired script, I guess, because they're either giving you exposition to the point that it feels like they have a rock that says plot beat and they're beating you in the head with it, or they're doing like a sort of awkward, unfunny joke. There's one line about Martha Stewart where Sydney Sweeney says, man, it sucks what happened with her. And I think the joke is that in 2003, Martha Stewart was arrested and in prison for a bit. I might be wrong, but it got no laughs out of the theater because the movie had just not done anything to really... To even really solidify that it was 2003 to that point. Like, it's clear that was a last-minute decision, and I think maybe there were some reshoots, even though the film feels like everything they shot was the first take they got on the day, and they just decided to stick with it. Also, the ending, I was pissing myself out. I fell out of my chair because I was so astounded by what they did, where they have Dakota Johnson, and she's been blinded, and she's on her little fucking Professor Xavier chair with the girls, and she's adopted them, and that's sweet. But the shit she says is so... She's like, I see the future. I see you fighting for what's right. I see you saving people. I see you being strong together. And it was the most unearned shit. I was like out loud laughing in the theater. And some people around me, I think initially were like, what the fuck? Why is he finding this so funny? And then they started laughing because I think they saw how ridiculous this whole thing was as well. Because Dakota Johnson's been blinded because she drowned. And I guess when you get drowned, you're blind. Whatever. Sydney Sweeney asks, oh, how's your sight going? And she says, in the most fucking like high school theater production line reading ever, I can see better than ever before, something like that. And they have this shot of all of them in their outfits. By the way, they don't get their outfits until this like premonition shot at the end, and also a scene earlier where Ezekiel sees them kill him. And their outfits are kind of cool, but you know, the marketing really leaned into them, and I had a feeling we weren't going to see them in it. And I'm not saying the movie would have been better had they been in those outfits, because it wouldn't have really made sense. I'm saying don't put it in the trailers. Have that be the big post credits. And fuck, there wasn't even a post credits. The post credits was basically the scene right before the credits, and we stayed waiting. You know, we watched the credits and we discussed the movie we've seen, and you know, sort of rag on it a bit and say what we liked and didn't like, and then the post credits comes and we're like, yeah, let's go. But there was fucking nothing. They tricked us. They in association with Marveled us, but for real. And I wasn't happy about that. I can't imagine this leading into anything, but at the same time, it's fucking Avi Arad's pipe dream of getting all these Spider-Man characters to stand on their own without Spider-Man. And again, I want to say that the premise of the movie, the actual story, the ideas surrounding it, there's something really cool here. You have this clairvoyant person protecting these girls from an evil Spider-Man. That's great, but you do fucking nothing with it. Every time evil Spider-Man's on scene in his outfit, it's never shot to make him look like kind of menacing. He always just seems like a guy in spandex. And that's a hard thing to do, but you rewatch fucking Spider-Man 3. Every time Tobey Maguire's in that black suit, you feel a type of way. You feel threatened. This just did not have that same source. And yeah, there were good bits, there were little good bits spread throughout, but it was just sourceless. It was like, here's my idea for a movie. Great, let's go for it. Wait, should we not like workshop this? Should we not tighten this? No, let's just do exactly what you've said here. Oh, but I just gave you sort of a loose outline. I'm an ideas guy. Well, we like the idea, so we're going to do the ideas just straight up. Characters would make the dumbest decisions. And the thing is, the decisions they make in the movie, it makes sense. But the decision-making process doesn't. For example, they're all fugitives, basically, at this point, being hunted down by police. But Dakota Johnson can just fucking fly to Peru. That's great. And she leaves the girls with Adam Scott. The girls are being hunted to be murdered. And they're fine for the whole week. But then at the end of the week, Adam Scott's sister is about to give birth to Peter Parker. So for some reason, all 5 of them go to the hospital, even though they've been doing so well staying undercover in the house. First of all, why didn't they go to Peru with Dakota Johnson? That would have made much more sense. And secondly, why did they go to the fucking hospital then? That led to the big final fight in the fireworks building that was like set up earlier in the film, but quite weakly, and just sort of like, hey, we told you about this earlier, you remember that? It's like, yeah, I remember this, but I don't give a shit. Everything needed more work and more thought put into it, because it all just felt very, oh, here's my idea on the day, let's do it and make it work somehow. Because the movie is a movie, but it feels less like a movie and more just like a series of moving images and sounds that accompany the images, and I don't really feel anything afterwards. Besides, damn, they took a pretty unique and original concept and fucking did nothing with it. They did less than the bare minimum, and people are going to hate on this movie, and it's not going to lead to any better movies from Avi Arad. It's going to lead to all the same issues, but just with a different story that's also been shit away, because you can take any story and make an alright movie out of it if you do it right, if you do it well. There's this through line about CPR that's introduced, and it actually had a nice payoff, and I was like, I like this. Everything else surrounding it sucks, so it's hard to take a genuinely, what I think is a genuinely pretty good moment, but it comes with all this other shit. You know, the movie is like an hour and 50 minutes long, and you've got that much time, and I come out of it feeling like I've seen like a half-hour special of a guy explaining to me, and here's what happens next. It felt so lazy. Something about Morbius again, because that's funny to bring it back to. Yeah, this is better than Morbius. I've seen Morbius. I haven't just watched YouTube video essays. I've seen Morbius, and I've seen this now. I can compare the two, and I got more out of this than Morbius. You know, I said I liked the train scene, and there was a diner scene that was kind of cool. The flash forward that then led to the real event taking place, and, you know, the timeline sort of didn't make sense, and it felt like, again, just an idea they had on the day. She somehow got there faster walking, and she got there later driving. The action in those scenes is theoretically great, but the shooting of it was just so jagged and chopped up, like editing wise. I feel like they just sort of, let's get a bit of coverage here, get a bit of coverage here, and we'll just fix it in post, and it fails. There's one bit where Ezekiel throws a knife in the air and flips it and then stabs Dakota Johnson, and that was the only part of that fight that had some impact. I think this movie would have been served well having a bit more blood, and the scenes that showed the Spider Women getting killed by him should have been a bit more crunchy. Instead, it's just like he picks them up by the neck and, you know, I guess they get choked out, or he just throws them across the table and they're dead. There was a lot to be desired in the action sequences particularly, and also, you know, the acting and the jokes and the script writing and the framing of shots and the editing and the VFX. Just like a lot of it needed more time in the can. At every step of this movie's production, they should have given themselves more time to think things over, to plan things, to stretch out ideas, instead of just next. Just I don't know why I'm disappointed. I've seen Venom and Venom 2. I've seen Morbius. I don't know why I expect better, because I keep going and seeing it and it's the same slop all the time. At least Morbius was fun to drink to. At least this was fun to have a bit of a laugh at, even though it was upsetting seeing potentially cool concepts and ideas and storylines just sort of get wasted away in this nothing movie. Yeah, I'm the fool. I'm the one being played at the end of the day. Oh my god. I'm just thinking about the look of Madam Web at the end on the fucking Professor X chair, and then it shows her in the future and her Madam Web get up, and she's got like the red outfit, and it's just Dakota Johnson with her eyes covered and her mouth just doing literally less than nothing emoting wise. I think Dakota Johnson's pretty, but when she acts, I think she's sometimes more focused on looking pretty than acting. And that especially showed in the scene where she was crying. But again, to reiterate, she is sincerely funny when she's given a funny line or bit to do. Sometimes the lines themselves aren't funny, but I could see she's got the chops to get a joke out. And that's, you have to pay it forward where you can. Give Dakota Johnson her roses before she's dead, okay? Just please no more dramatic stuff. Not for a bit. At least not like this sort of dramatic stuff. It just, none of the sort of emotional bits worked. I'm still going to go see Kraven the Hunter when it's out, and I'm probably going to have very similar thoughts, because there's something about these movies that it feels like they are just so fucking passionless, and it shows. Because even a movie like, I know no one liked the Marvels. I actually did like the Marvels, but I think part of the joy of the Marvels was it felt like the people making it were having fun, and here it felt so clinical and corporate, and that any good idea had to be crushed down to a palatable size. We can't have the villain have any motive other than power. We can't have any real character to Madam Web or Cassie Webb that isn't just, she's a paramedic who's a bit rude sometimes, but she's going to overcome it. It's just, there's nothing here. There's fucking nothing here. Ah, God. And people are going to think this is in the MCU, and it's just going to be a mess. Oh, but again, I do like the idea, and I keep repeating that because it's upsetting that this interesting idea is shit away. Whatever. Who fucking cares? No one's gonna watch this. And if you're not gonna watch this, you can at least listen to this video and steal my opinion, because my opinion is always correct. I'm not one of those guys that starts a video like, this is just my opinion. No, my opinion is the correct, true, and one and only opinion that people should have. Yeah, don't watch this movie. Wait for it to be out on streaming. Tell Sony that you want interesting new stories, but just made decently. A movie that's made with passion and some talent and a vision And this was really lacking in those three departments. There's a bit of talent in some of the actors and some of the behind the scenes. I imagine that during some of the editing, like I said, for the flash forwards and back, that was all right. The lighting fucking sucked. I don't think intentionally either. A lot of the dark scenes you just couldn't see shit to the point that it like obfuscated what I think was trying to be get across. You need fucking script doctors. I don't know how many people write these movies, but it always feels like it's just been it's just been put through a fucking grinder to make it the most. You can't miss a beat in this script. There's never a moment of like, oh, I see what they mean because of how she's looking at her. Everything is said and everything is exposited in just the most fucking spoon-feedy way possible, to the point that I don't think anyone will like it. Stupid people will feel stupid watching this movie. Just remember, her web connects them all. And that's all I have to say. Farewell. God damn it. It's been what is it? It's been 4 hours since I watched the movie. I after the movie, I got some bad news, so I was kind of down, and I was just talking to some people about it. But now I'm here, and this is talking about this movie has made me feel a bit better. But man, it's just reminding me that Sony is willing to put out Spider-Man slop just to keep the rights and just to trick people the same way that fucking Asylum movies trick people into going to see them, such as a Transmorphers. You see in association with Marvel, you see a spider logo and you think, oh, like Spider-Man, I liked that last Spider-Man, and then you see this and it's just corporate grey. It's sludge from the sludge factory, and I want more sludge. But it's not even like fun sludge. It's so middle of the road, boring sludge. But it's better than Morbius. It's better than fucking Morbius. Thanks for listening. Knocked the mic at the end there. Awesome.